Hello everybody, welcome back. Root Beer here, continuing to talk about preparation for contests and just generally how to go about doing contests. In this video I thought I'd talk about recurring concepts as a concept. So you'll find for competitions that are done repeatedly, or even, this happens a lot at university. University is more where you can get past exams, so that's why I keep bringing that up. You don't get a lot of access to past high school exams for your calculus course or whatever. But in any situation where you can get past materials that are similar to the ones you're going to be writing with, so like past Euclids or past comprehensive exams or past linear algebra midterms, whatever, you will find as you do them, and you should be doing them in the long term, practice, but you'll find that you can occasionally notice that there are recurring concepts. These are things that are popping up a whole lot. I know with Waterloo competitions, there are certain things that you're almost bound to see on papers. Euclid competitions, every other year basically, there's a circle geometry question. Whether or not it's obvious or whether or not you just can help. What else? On the Euclid, there's almost always a quadratic, like a parabola-ish question for one of the first two. There's almost always a logarithm question, even if the logs aren't explicitly written out. Fermat questions and Cayley questions, there's usually some trig, more so on the Fermat, because you're guaranteed to know trigonometry in North America by grade 11. It's almost always like a 30, 60, 90 triangle for Pythagoras' theorem, the 1, root 3, and the hypotenuse of 2 type right angle triangle. 3, 4, 5 triangles are great as well, and we'll talk about some concepts to know and have memorized just for general contest taking. But as you're doing the practice problems or the practice past exams, as you're practicing the past exams, you yourself will notice recurring concepts, and those are the things to take stock of. Recently, there's been a trend to having a lot of stuff about the GCD, greatest common denominator, on some of the Waterloo competitions, the written ones. I don't know how long that trend's going to continue. Frankly, there's some competitions coming up soon, and maybe the trend will have stopped by now. But as you do these practice problems, pick out recurring concepts. I know, for example, not speaking about competitions anymore now, but for comprehensive exams, which I know is something people worry about as they get into graduate studies. Typically, I've written some in the past. I did my degrees at University of Waterloo and the University of Western Ontario, and I got a chance to look at some of their past comprehensives, and patterns that I noticed there were on the calculus-y, analysis-y, topology-ish exams. You would almost always see a complex analysis question involving the zero-pole theorem or Rouché's theorem, those sorts of things. On the algebra ones, I don't think a year went by where you didn't see something like the Jordan canonical form, or the fundamental theorem of finitely generated abelian group. The one where a finitely generated abelian group can be broken down into a direct product of cyclic groups that are powers of primes in terms of their order. That's a good one. But if you go back and try all these practice ones, if that's what you're doing for your long-term prep, you will notice these recurring concepts, and when you do, you should sort of isolate them, figure out what exactly the concept is, and from there, try and get your hands on other questions. So if you are doing a bunch of Fermats and you notice, 30, 60, 90 triangles are coming up a lot, you can say, so that's probably a recurring concept. When I write the Fermat this year, I should expect a 30, 60, 90 question somewhere in, later part B or early part C. So now I can go online and, type in and say 30, 60, 90 triangle problems, or, circle geometry problems. And you can take time to especially focus on that, because you know from your experience from practicing these things that you're almost guaranteed to get a question like this. So that's useful practice, as opposed to, you do a Euclid and one year you see a question that involves a dodecahedron, but you haven't seen any others. you shouldn't take extra time, unless you have it, to go out and look for a whole bunch of dodecahedron-based questions, because you saw one on a 1983 paper. It's not likely that it's going to come up, but a logarithm question, they're there almost every year. So know properties of logarithms, know how to handle them. A lot of people find them scary, which is something I've mentioned usually when I encounter a Euclid question when I'm doing my videos. And they're nothing really to be scared of. You just need to go out and practice them more. Okay? So just to sort of sum up as we end the video here, as you practice the old papers, you'll notice recurring concepts. Take time out to do special study sessions and try problems specifically devoted to those concepts. And that will especially help and serve you and focus your studies in a very useful way for your upcoming competition. Okay? So going hand in hand with that, with these recurring concepts, is important theorems and numbers that you should know. Those tend to recur, but I'm going to do a special video on those. Okay? So thanks for watching me talk about recurring concepts, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.